Okay, we are going to give something a try here. Let me tell you about something. We're gonna play some disc golf. So truthfully, this is just like a dumb experiment. I imagined it was gonna be a little cooler of a autumn morning, and I would get to play a full 18 holes in the sweater and bow tie, and that would be just kind of like a good gag. So let's play some disc golf and chat. So there was this time that I went to play disc golf with a friend, and it was either around the time that I was doing Les Mis, or maybe the Les Mis movie was coming out, the Tom Hooper one. So I was just kind of thinking about Les Mis, excited about Les Mis. I've always liked Les Mis, and I still do. I know that's kind of contentious in some musical theater circles, but we played around in disc golf, and I walked him through just the plot. I just explained the plot of Les Mis. It was doing this walk and talk and finding discs is going to be, once again, stupid. There it is. So much like this experiment, that conversation was stupid. As everyone knows, the first hole is a warm-up hole. You get as many mulligans as you need. So I was reminded of that when I thought of this idea. That is why today I'm going to talk to you about Waiting for Godot. It's not like that was a hard putt or anything. Got to get the shots, got to get the content. So Waiting for Godot is an absurdist play. It's kind of the quintessential absurdist play. It was this early postmodern form, subgenre of theater where, you know, we just finished World War II. We've seen the ways that humanity can be terrible to itself. But, you know, at least America, post-war economy is good, et cetera, amen. There are these playwrights who are deciding, let's write plays that are meant to be unsettling, meant to make them uncomfortable, and shock them into thinking about their lives a little bit. So Waiting for Godot. Waiting for Godot is kind of just in the cultural writer's lexicon. So even if you don't know Waiting for Godot, people who writers tend to be aware of Waiting for Godot. So you'll see references pop up once you know it. And there was this sketch comedy troupe that did a sketch that I saw that specifically lampooned Waiting for Godot. And it was called Waiting for GoBots. And so this sketch comedy group, this must have been around the time of either YouTube's infancy or directly pre-YouTube. See, podcasts in general are pretty ubiquitous now. But when podcasts were new, you know, it's a portmanteau of broadcast and iPod. So with podcasts, they weren't streaming at first because the iPhone hadn't been really invented yet, and the smartphone, as we know, was not, once again, culturally ubiquitous. So what they did was you would subscribe to a podcast on iTunes. You would then download the podcast to your computer in iTunes and then sync up your iPod or Zune or whatever digital media player you had, and then listen on that device. There was also a time that video podcasts became a thing. You know, once the video iPod came out, well, you can sync video to your iPod. Yes, you can purchase TV and movies, but if there's a creator who wants to put video into an RSS feed, you can download that as well. You know, watch it on the go as much as I was on the go however old I was then, like 15 maybe, I don't know. That wasn't too bad. Wasn't too good. So this sketch I was referring to was called Waiting for GoBots, and this worked specifically because, if you're unaware, Waiting for Godot is spelled G-O-D-O-T. If you're not familiar with Waiting for Godot, the central piece of it is there are two characters sitting on the side of the road waiting for someone or something called Godot, and spoiler alert, Godot never shows up. At least, we don't see Godot show up in the action of the play. So in the sketch, there are two children on a Saturday morning waiting for a television show called GoBots to come on the TV. I like that one a little more. And so one child is telling the other child, you know, I'm sitting here waiting for GoBots. And the other child says, well, how about we do something else? Well, let's go outside, let's go skateboard. You know, it's a nice day. The kid's like, no, I'm waiting for GoBots to come on the TV. And the kid's like, well, how do you know GoBots is going to come on the TV? Do you check the TV guide? I don't know. It doesn't say. And he's like, what is GoBots? And the kid describes GoBots to him. And he's like, that sounds like Transformers. And like, no, it's GoBots. And this conversation goes on. It develops, it deepens as a comedy sketch should. And no doubt ends in some sort of punchline that I'm forgetting now. Or non-punchline, which would be fitting as to the form that it is lampooning. So why Waiting for Godot? Why disc golf and Waiting for Godot? I'm not sure. I can at least tell you why Waiting for Godot. It's something that I feel like I know a lot about, enough about to speak at length. I care enough about it to speak at length about it. I have multiple copies of on my shelf. It's one of these plays that is typically encountered in a literature course or a drama literature course. I didn't encounter it that way. I was first introduced to theater of the absurd, the category, through another playwright by just actually going to see a play. The community college was doing a performance of two one-act plays by Harold Pinter. These two plays were The Room and The Dumbwaiter. Another tree, by the way. It got some distance, but it still hit a tree. I suppose that's one parallel. There's a tree is one of the few set pieces that shows up in Waiting for Godot. So The Room and The Dumbwaiter, if you ever get a chance to see anything in the category of theater of the absurd, I recommend it. It's, you know, there's weird theater and then there's weird theater. I have a pretty healthy appetite or tolerance for really weird theater. But I feel like it does cut the difference because it wasn't designed to be weird. It was designed to be different for sure, but it was for the masses, I suppose. So as weird of a reputation it has, I think it is pretty accessible as long as it's a quality production. Anyone who has senses should get something out of it. But so outside what these plays are about, I specifically, where is that little, it's supposed to be an arrow. I'm pretty sure it's this way. Oh wait, it's right there. But what these plays did for me as an audience member is it gave me I realized on a visceral level that theater could be more than what I thought it was. Now, I didn't write any sort of reflection at that time to delineate the specific before I thought theater was this and after I thought theater was this, but there was a change. And like anytime you discover a new artist or musician or whatever, discovering that genre of theater of the absurd, I wanted to find more and jump into it. So, the quintessential, Waiting for Godot. So now, unlike most who will be introduced to Waiting for Godot in an academic setting, I just read it on my own volition. By the way, hole 5 here, last time I played this course, on my second throw off the fairway, I think, I failed to locate my disc. And by the time I got to where I thought it was, I couldn't find it, and I also hadn't marked where I was standing to try and reorient to where it was. So I began doing just kind of a pattern going, I know it must be in this block of area, so I would slowly walk one direction, take a quick zigzag, walk the other direction a few feet the other way, saying I know I will cover all of this distance, and if my disc is here, which it must be, I will find my disc. There was a slight nagging in the back of my mind that maybe it went into or over the parking lot, because this hole does, as we'll see, we get up here, it butts up to a parking lot. But I said, no, there's no way I threw it that far. So I continue my zigzag, crossing the area, don't find it. Maybe it's in a slightly larger version of this area. So I take the whole course again. You know, in a wider path, certainly I will find my disc. And I didn't. I spent a solid 20 minutes at least, maybe 30, looking for this disc. And as I was walking and looking, thinking once again, well, what if it did cross the park? No, there's no way. There's no way. And so, in addition to looking and thinking, where could it possibly be? I also thought, I also began to resign myself to the fact that I'd lost it, even to the point of opening up the Amazon app and saying, "Oh, how much does this disc cost to replace?" And here's that parking lot, by the way. And so I had resigned. I didn't purchase a replacement then and there, but I had resigned myself to the fact that I'd lost my disc. And when I left, I drove through this parking lot, and as kind of a last moment thing, I thought, well, let me stop and just take a look across the street here. And sure enough, I pulled up to this very edge of the parking lot before it becomes the street again. And right here on the corner was my disc. So I found my disc. I didn't lose my disc. Good deal, good day. I was pleased. And I still had gone through such consternation and I guess, you know, a process of grief, you know, denying the fact that I had lost it. It was not lost, it was there, I just hadn't found it yet. Then kind of, you know, accepting the fact, getting mad at myself for not watching where it actually went. You know, finally I said, well, I'll be fine without it. And then I guess, I don't know, when I found it again, it's not really a stage of grief, that's just like, I don't know, resurrection, getting to heaven, I don't know. And Waiting for Godot 2 is known as weird, known as dry, known as a tough read. I mean, a play for most people is kind of a tough read because it's not designed to be read, it's designed to be performed. I particularly enjoy reading plays because I don't have a good discipline or attention for full novels, so short stories, plays, it's something I can get through in one sitting. Now, it's known as a play where nothing happens. Now, things do happen. I mean, there's a quote of the play itself. One of characters in a sort of self-referential moment says, it's terrible. Nothing happens. Nobody comes, nobody goes, nothing happens. However, in reading this play, I was caught up in it. I think the whatever action there was, there's the humor, etc. I was caught up and captured by this play. And I stumbled over my words there, but I don't want to put my hat on again, but I want to include it in the video, so I'm just going to keep going. And so I was 17, 18 at the time, and, so these ideas of existentialism and uncertainty of the world, I connected with it. It's not that I was looking for an explanation to the way the world works and found that there was none, and so I just wallow in despair, what is there to do? But in this description of the world as meaningless, then I took some joy in that. I took some solace in the fact. That felt a lot better. And when I read the play, I wasn't really searching for answers. I had already, for an 18-year-old, had a pretty well-developed worldview. I had spent time analyzing and looking at the theological worldview I was raised in and what I had experienced in my life, and come to a comfortable marriage of the two. And so reading Waiting for Godot really meshed with the direction I was already going. And so the existentialism and the questions of meaning there really kind of married the two. But all that to say, I think it's just kind of a fun fact that most people experience Waiting for Godot in an academic sense, and I experienced it in a recreational sense, and that wasn't weird for me. It's good, I like it. So as I said, the play revolves around these two characters that are referred to as tramps, and they're waiting kind of at the side of the road for someone or something named Godot. And, they kind of role reverse throughout, but generally one of the characters is waiting and saying, let's wait, and the other one says, like, no, let's do something else, why should we wait, etc., etc. Some other travelers show up, they, hang out and talk a little, and the other travelers go on their way. And by the end of Act 1, we've reached the end of a day in their life. And they're standing by the side of the road. Godot has not shown up. A messenger has come saying, Mr. Godot is sorry he couldn't make it, he'll surely be here tomorrow. And now our heroes have a decision to make. I just tipped the bottom of the T on that one. Should we stay another night and wait for Mr. Godot, or should we leave? And one says to the other, let's go. And the other one says back, yes, let's. And they stand still. End Act 1. Hall 10, or T-Box 10's right over there. It's a little warmer than I was expecting today. It's not this nice, but I'm just like, didn't really expect to sweat. Although, like, that was dumb because I was planning on wearing a sweater anyway. And I was going to be walking around for a while. And it very well could serve the purpose of this video to end at Act 1. End after the front 9 holes, not go on to 18. That'd be a nice frustration of the genre. I set out saying, oh, walk the course, play the course, all 18 holes, and have a little chat. And now I'm tired. You know, it's just been for me and for hopefully your entertainment. I don't owe it to anyone to keep on going. I'm not really here for the purpose of playing disc golf. I'm here for the purpose of making a stupid video. And I've got footage sufficient for that. But in this moment of pause, I could reflect and discover a renewed sense of purpose to finish this video. You know, it's not for the sake of the 18 holes that I promised, but it's for the sake of something else. The first act of Waiting for Godot, we meet the characters, they talk about whether they should stay or they should go, they do some things, they have some conversations. Another traveler with his servant shows up and is boisterous and weird, and they talk to him, and then he goes on his way, and then they talk some more, and a messenger comes from Godot saying, Godot's not going to be here today, but he'll surely be here tomorrow. You know, won't you stay and meet him? And then they decide whether or not they're going to stay. The second act of the play follows the same structure as the first act. You know, 9 holes at the beginning, 9 holes at the end, but with slight variation in the action. They have these circular conversations. They talk about the same things, but in different ways. And then the traveler comes again, but this time, rather than being a wealthy man, you know, he's blind and struggling. And, you know, and then they discuss whether this is the same man they met before, whether even they met another man the day before, what even is yesterday. And then the man goes on his way. They chat some more, and messenger boy comes and tells him, so sorry, Mr. Godot can't make it today, but he'll surely be here tomorrow. Messenger leaves, and they have a decision to make. Well, I hope you take no deeper meaning in this than the fact that I've got enough material to cut something together, and I've had fun, but I got other things I want to do today. I'm not going to play the back 9. I'm going to go home, do other things. No special meaning, no special message. I mean, other than I like Waiting for Godot. I think it's really valuable, and you should seek it out. Find a copy and read it. Ask me, I'll lend you a copy and read it. I've got 2 copies. If there's ever a production near you, go see it. Oh, and I forgot to mention, I did have the great fortune to be in a production of Waiting for Godot once. I played Estragon, one of the 2 tramps on the side of the road. So got to do one of my favorite things as an actor, which is eat real food on stage. I get some just kind of like grotesque pleasure out of it feels like a hardship, but it's not a hardship. So like, I'm putting myself through the paces. Yeah, Christian Bale lost, you know, an unhealthy amount of weight, and I ate chicken bones that were thrown on the ground. I'm an actor. Oh, and my scene partner, well, I forget his name, but he never did the same blocking 2 nights in a row. It was, you know, never a dull moment. It was, I would say to an extent, it was fun. It was fun to have to play against that, to have to really be on your toes, but it is also kind of frustrating too. So I don't know, there may be a deeper metaphor. There probably is. You can always force a metaphor, although it's kind of a gimme taking any repetitive activity and comparing it to Waiting for Godot, right? This has been a walk in the park. This has been a self-indulgent exercise. Shout out to Aaron Sorkin for the walk and talk. Thanks for joining us for this segment of Wherein Bradley plays 18 holes at Wilmore Park and doesn't play 18 holes at Wilmore Park and talks about Waiting for Godot. This has been, whatever this is a production of me, Bradley Rolfe. I can be found on Instagram and Twitter under my real name. And if you'd like more content like essays on my blog, links to various podcasts I'm a part of, one of them being a podcast where I read my blog, all that and more can be found at anotherwhitesuburbanite.com.